Hi there, and welcome to anybody who's logged on through the website or anybody on YouTube who's floating around. Welcome to this beautiful sunny afternoon in Plym Woods in Plymouth. What we're going to talk about is the Jetball. As you are aware, we've already done a demonstration on the Jetball in the past. However, it's been superseded by the Jetball Flash. So an excellent unit, but what we'll do is put this to one side and we'll talk about the new stove on the block. Okay, so that's the old Jetball. The reason why we put it in this large utility Molly system, or this large utility pooch for a Molly, is because we wanted to demonstrate that the two will fit, i.e. the Jetball Flash will fit inside the utility pooch. Okay, so what are the improvements? Well, what we'll do is we'll move around the Jetball and we'll talk about each improvement. First things first, the lid. The lid is now transparent, but note that it still has a drinking hole, so you can use the pot as a drinking mug. Transparent, obviously, so you can see whether your water's boiling or how your food is cooking. Next thing is the stabilizing unit, but we'll talk a little bit more in detail about that when we come back to it. What I want to do is move on to the actual burner. Please note, this is very important, that the unit isn't sold with the gas. That's actually an accessory that you have to purchase separately. First things first, for all those people who have had the old Jetball, you'll note that the piezo lighter on the old Jetball stands very, very proud, and as a result it's very prone to being damaged or broken. So what they've done is they've taken on board all these problems, and on the piezo lighter they've reduced the size of it, almost making it flush with the burner, which in turn protects the piezo lighter. It goes without saying though, we should all maybe have a lighter in a backpack just in case. The other thing that they've done, which has really improved the system, is they've tucked away, or they've extended the gas knob on the side. On the old Jetball it was chunky, but it was recessed into the underneath, so operating it with gloves on was quite a tricky manoeuvre. In other words, you had to hold the Jetball and get your gloves in there to manoeuvre it. What they've done now is they've worked on extending this, so now you can get hold of it easily with gloves or with cold fingers. When it's not being used, all that happens is you just fold it back and tuck it underneath itself like so. This is always the best bit, is putting these two together. I've had so many nightmares with this, however on this occasion it's gone on very, very nicely, thank you very much. Okay, we did talk about the stabilizer. The stabilizer is something that was an accessory that you had to purchase separate to the system. The Jetball Flash now comes with the stabilizer as standard. Okay, how does it work? Well, it does exactly what it says on the tin. It stabilizes the whole unit. As you can see here, if you just focus in on there, Wiggy, you can see that it's got lugs in the side of the stabilizer, and that's to accommodate either a 100, a 250 or a 500 gas cylinder. This one here is the 100, and that fits into, hang on one moment, just make sure that that is absolutely straight out like so. There we go, and that fits like so. You can then take the unit, but before we do so, we'll just talk a little bit about the mug on the bottom, which was also a real witch on the old system. People complaining that if they had cold fingers, or even just getting it off with warm fingers, ripping your fingers apart. It's now a lot easier to get off. Also transparent. One of the things that makes the Jetball unique is the fact that it has this fin system underneath, so that any heat is directed directly onto the bottom of the pot, and in doing so they say that you can actually save up to half the amount of gas that you'd use on a conventional stove. So how do we put it together? Well, it's quite simple. We marry up the lugs, which are on the side, with the pot, and we would just give it a twist like so. There you go. Okay, and obviously now with the stabilizer the whole thing is stable naturally, and the lid goes on top like so. Finally, if you look on the side, this is one of the things that makes it unique. On the side here you've got a colour changing heat indicator. So as your water is starting to boil, if you're doing administration or you're doing stuff around the camp, you can keep an eye on your Jetball, and when this turns to orange, it means that your water has boiled, and therefore you can turn the gas down so that the water is just simmering, and once again you're saving gas. So there you go, that's the Jetboil system. All in all, we think it's the absolute nuts. We sell lots of them, and we are delighted that Jetboil have taken it upon themselves just to put to bed all these finicky small problems. So there you go, that's the Jetboil from Jetboil. Thanks for watching.